Hi, and welcome to this week's Mortgage Broker broadcast. My guest this week is Dan Reddish of Dan Reddish Consulting. Dan originally came onto the podcast, episode 15, so over 18 months ago now, to talk about New Age and more importantly about what was going on with that. I wanted to get Dan back onto the podcast just to talk about what he's been doing, what's happening with New Age, how is it going. He's also as well started on with New Age firm now, as well as the advisor, and just his sort of take on other things in terms of the mortgage space right now. So yeah, let's just get Dan back onto the podcast. You're listening to the Mortgage Broker broadcast with me, Craig Skelton, the podcast which helps mortgage brokers at all stages of their mortgage broking career. Welcome back onto the podcast, Dan. How are you?
Yeah, I'm really well, mate. Thank you. I appreciate you inviting me back. It's been a while, like we were saying before. Was it 2021, summertime, 21?
The thing was, it was like it was June, like the podcast came out in July 2021. So it's sort of 18 months or more since we got you into the podcast the first time. So appreciate you coming back on. Appreciate it. Obviously, we'll get into the podcast and talk about things. But yeah, just episode 15, whereas now we're into the hundreds. Well, into the 100, we're just over 100. So yeah, it's good to get you back on and find out what's going on. Obviously, I came on to one of the sessions, I think, as well, with which we'll talk, like, obviously we'll talk about the groups and what you've got going on. But yeah, just thank you very much for agreeing to come back onto the podcast. I'm looking forward to catching up and hearing all about what's sort of going on in Dan's world. So yeah, that's cool. So what's happening more? You've got still going on with the New Age stuff. What's going on business wise?
Yeah, that's it. Like I say, like we talked about before, my business model before kind of COVID really was to do a hell of a lot of different things. I was pushing myself in a lot of directions, but then I decided just to kind of focus in on this one direction, which was more the coaching side, and put that into a productized package, really, which is what we did with the New Age Advisor stuff. As like we spoke last time, that was pretty much, like I say, 18 months ago, was it? So a lot has kind of evolved from then. But yeah, we're still trucking on with the New Age Advisor stuff. But yeah, stuff has evolved from that New Age Advisor stuff. So yeah, it's going well so far.
Good. It's normally the case. It's normally sort of things that have evolved from what you've been doing. And is New Age Advisor still going strong? Still got that going on?
Yes. Yeah. So New Age Advisor, just for your listeners, is kind of, like I said, the first kind of thing that we came up with in terms of just giving financial service firms a kind of systemized and predictable way to generate qualified appointments. And we're not kind of providing people with leads or selling them leads. We're empowering people with the ability to provide to produce their own leads, which I think is key. Because as you know, Craig, I think there's a lot of pain in that market for qualified appointments. There's no real structured way, I think, to generate qualified appointments systematically. There's a lot of ways people are generating leads, but I think it's a lot of time wasting and money wasting in terms of the methods that people are doing. So yeah, that's kind of the original model, was to show people how to do it for themselves, which I think when you do generate leads yourself, there's a lot more weight to it. There's a lot more power and a lot more, they'll convert a lot better when you generate them for yourself rather than buying them in.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's it. They bought already into your brand already. Like if you're buying them, which I think, to be honest with you, I'd be interested to get your take on this. But so I'm hearing from, like, within the industry that leads business in general sort of is down about 30% overall. That's not quite. We're not like that from CS point of view, but from other businesses that I'm talking to, leads are down about 30%, businesses down about 30%. And my concern with that is that, like you say, I'm not an advocate of buying leads. It's not something I'm all about building your own brand rather than someone else's. But my concern with it is that when there is less leads coming in and less people will have a natural panic mode situation going on, thinking, oh, I need to buy some now, I need to spend some money. So they may cut back on what they've done before that's been working, but then because of the numbers, but obviously we'll talk about that from your point of view, but it's just, that's my concern, is thinking, well, I'm sort of a month or two into the year now and there's less leads coming through. Do I need to panic mode and buy some rather than sort of keep trying to generate my own?
Yeah, because that's the natural response, isn't it? To when things are going, it's a reactive way of looking at things. When I think, businesses that really do well don't respond reactively to things. They've already got things in the pipeline rolling for when the bad times do come around. Because I think bad times in business, they 100% will come around. It's not an if, it's a when. Yeah. So I think you need to be kind of consistently and continuously kind of put in some kind of degree of energy and focus into what is arguably the most important part of business, is generating new business and new leads and new inquiries of the right people. And I think the businesses that do that and kind of invest the time and effort into that are the businesses that are going to kind of succeed in the long term. Because it's like anything, any business, I think you can be really good at what you do. Obviously, brokers, really good. I speak to guys all the time who are amazing at what they do. They're really good at giving advice. But it's like that's half of it at the end of the day. You need to be able to generate your own business, because if you're not, you can be as better than anybody. But if you can't generate your new business, then you're not going to be able to grow, and you're just going to end up declining and then deceasing in that sense. So I think, like I said, I think there's no more important skill to learn as a business owner generally, but especially in financial services, to learn how to produce your own revenue.
Because it's more sustainable that way, isn't it? Like if you are generating your own, it's more of a sustainable thing that you're going to be building on, really, rather than just sort of, it's about building it on the right foundations, and rather than sort of just like I said, not panic buying, but well, it is panic buying. You are going to, it is a reaction to do that kind of thing. So are you with the new age stuff, is that all self-employed advisors that are doing everything themselves kind of thing?
Yeah, so well, they're all self-employed, but the model that we kind of employ is that we kind of sit in the middle. Obviously, buying leads in is kind of completely at one end of the scale, but then kind of referrals. Obviously, referrals is a massive thing that a lot of brokers kind of rely on, and I think they're at kind of two ends of the scale. One where buying leads in is like there's no trust there in those kind of leads. It's like I said, next best thing to a cold call, really. But then referrals are really good because they convert well, because the trust is there. But with the referrals, you can't really scale on something that's what's the word? Sporadic and inconsistent. Obviously, on the other side of things, buying leads in, you can more bank on that in terms of the reliability, but you've not got the trust there. So what we do is kind of sit in the middle in the fact that we are showing people how to generate their own business, which is in their own leads, which are kind of qualified, and the trust is there because we're putting through a process which kind of builds trust and builds rapport, and it is scalable as well. So it kind of sits in the middle of those, which is like the perfect kind of recipe, if you ask me. Because I've been on the side of, I used to be a digital marketing agency which produced produced leads for firms, but I think when you just outsource it just lacks that personality. It lacks you. It lacks your ethos. It lacks your brand and what you're all about. So it's difficult for marketing agencies to get good results, I think, for firms because of that. People want connection with. It's a massive financial commitment. Their mortgage or financial advice or protection, whatever it is. Financial services is a big financial commitment, and what's required with any financial commitment is trust. And I think you lack that when you just completely outsource it or buy leads in. Like I said, you've just not got that trust element. So
not at all. And I think you're absolutely spot on with it. It's about that trust kind of thing from a client's point of view, because funny enough, like several weeks ago, we had Alex Curtis on the podcast talking about websites, and because there's quite a few brokers that I know that rely heavily on social media, but then don't have a website behind the scenes to back up that trust and authenticity, and clients will, like, if you, like, you talk about like the funnels and the way that you do things with the brokers, but and how they generate leads and build that trust. But I think one of those things is having my take on it is having a website behind that, because customers will still Google you, and still, however they find you, they will still sort of. So if you are buying leads in as well, and you've not got a website, or you just literally just buying leads in, you will convert some, absolutely, because it's a numbers game, but you will spend more money on the leads because you're not getting that, like you said, they've not, somebody who's gone on and found you and gone through the and found you organically, and they've seen your website, they've seen your social medias, they've sort of got that. It's just building that trust, which you just can't convert. So it's just about work, especially as a self-employed broker. It's about working smarter, isn't it? Like you don't want to be having. You'd rather have 2 quality leads than 10 quantity leads, which are just going nowhere. And you still might convert 2 out of the 10, but it's just about working smart as well. You want to be like, if you've got 2 and you can convert 2 that because they've bought into you, know who you are, and they've got that trust there. Well, I'd rather just do with 2 and work with the 2 that have done that than trying to convince 10 that don't know who I am. And you just waste far more time doing that.
Yeah, 100%. That's the key word, time, isn't it? And I think a lot of firms, a lot of brokers are just wasting a shit ton of time just trying to get through loads of crap quality leads, like you say, and there's nothing more important at the end of the day than time. We can make more money, we can't make more time, can we? So I think a lot of people are just. I think that is the key is having the right leads, because if you're not, like you say, if you're just buying leads in or just taking on just anything and everything that comes your way, kind of thing, you're just wasting a lot of time to qualify those leads on calls or to kind of wade through that crap to get to the gold. But yeah, having, like you say, I think we call it touch points in marketing, where somebody's got to see you and your brand between 7 and 11 times before they'll kind of even engage you for business. It's like familiarity. And like you say, when people are checking out your website, when they're seeing you on social media, if you're doing a video, then that's another touch point. That's another touch point. If you've got like email marketing, sending emails out, you've got like a Facebook group with your ideal clients in there that you put in, constantly kind of growing, constantly putting yourself in front of your ideal client. All these different kind of this multi-channel approach. If you're doing LinkedIn as well, so these touch points are just building up, and that's the key. And when you've got all these touch points built, when you get them on the phone, they know exactly who you are, they know what you do, they know how you can help them, and those leads just they convert. Well, we've got people generally. The leads that we help people to produce generally close at about 30%. I think the industry standard is between like 5 and 10%, which makes sense because, like I say, it's the complete and opposite end of the scale compared to just no trust, compared to building that trust and that rapport, which really does make the difference. I think, like I say, especially in financial services, when it's a big financial commitment, people need that trust, and they need to see the face of the person that they're doing business with. It definitely goes a long way,
especially if you're a broker that charges a fee as well. So if you're doing it fee free, then I'm not an advocate of that. I'm not a believer in that, and that's your call if you're doing that. But if you're building that trust up and they're sort of seeing you on various digital marketing platforms, including your website, things like that, it's then when you get to the fee conversation, it literally is, well, that's my fee. That it's not a question kind of thing. It's not so much how much do you charge. It's because this is my fee. This is what the benefits are. This is what I've done. This is what I do. This is what I do. You've seen what I do. You've seen this is who I am, and for that it's this. Whereas, so you're on the front foot with it, rather than the other way around, where people you're buying leads in generally tends to be very what I would call your rate tarts, which is just what's your rate, how much you're going to charge me. forget
Purely
benefits,
aren't
get anything like benefits just don't even come into the
they? Yeah,
conversation. And
they
as we know,
just want the cheapest, don't
exactly, and that they're not bothered. It's like you said there about time. It's like customers either want to save time or they want to save money, and it's a case of, well, if you're prepared to pay for it and you want to save yourself time and a lot of stress yourself, then you'll have a broker that will save you all the time. Yes, you might have to pay for that, but at least you're going to save yourself a lot of time. And
they?
I brokers that I talk to and work with and coach, and when we get talking about fees, it's always about, you've got to get the benefits out there, that you've got to explain to them what you're going to do. It's not about, and I say to them, and it's like you get somebody on the phone that sort of the first question is, how much are you going to charge me? And I like to say to them, if that's the first question in your mind, I'm not the broker for you. There is no point. There is people that don't charge broker fees. Go and find, if you want this service, you want this platinum service, and do this and do this and all the benefits, then you're going to pay for it. And I think it's just having that, because you are outwardly promoting yourself on the various platforms, people will just go, oh yeah, we'll just, because they said they've reached out to you, they've come to you and said, I need your help. Okay, well, I charge $4.95. This is what I'm going to do when I'm charged $4.95. It's not like, or whatever your fee is. It's because, well, they just move, it's just part of the conversation kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? You're on the front foot rather than the back foot with the client, which I think is I always talk about that. It's just so important.
Yeah, 100%. But yeah, I think that all plays into your ideal client and defining, I think, exactly who your ideal client is. And this is a big part of what we do in our programs. We help people to, that's the first thing we do. We help people to define exactly who their ideal client is and work out what their specific psychological triggers are, what their pain points are, what their desires are. It's because marketing is all psychological. And when you can do that, like when you can really work out what the triggers are, what the psychological, what's going on in their mind, in your ideal client's mind, and you can put that in front of them. Obviously, with digital marketing, you can do that. You can exclusively put that message in front of the people that you want to put it in front of. It just gets their attention, and it just resonates 10 times more powerfully than it would if you just put a blanket message saying, we do mortgages, give us a ring, kind of thing, which is what probably 99% of brokers and firms are doing at the moment. But that plays into the fee structure as well. I think when you're niching into a specific market and you're helping that market every single day, you know exactly where to go to get them what they need efficiently and quickly. That plays into the service level. So you're providing a better service, which means obviously when you provide a good service, you can charge higher fees for it. And when it's like in any industry, like specialists earn more money than just generalists, don't they? Like your GP, for example, a GP will earn a good wage, but a brain surgeon will earn a hell of a lot more because they know exactly what to do to get their clients what they need. They've just focused in on that one specific small kind of sector, that small kind of market, and they've, like I say, they provide a good service for that need, which is the same in financial services. I think when you can do that, when you know exactly where to go to get the clients what they need, it means you're providing a lot better service. And if you can demonstrate that to your ideal clients, and that means that you're a lot more valuable to your ideal clients, and you can obviously charge a lot more for that. But yeah, I think I'm the same sentiment as you. I think in terms of the no fee brokers, I think it devaluates yourself a little bit when I think if you charge a fee and you've proven that you can provide a good service and that fee is valid, then you should be able to do that, and you should be able to make the most of your time and be paid for it in that sense.
No, definitely, it's a good point that I sort of say in terms of with the GP analogy with regards to like the brain surgery, like we'll see less clients. They will like, we know that we don't need to be sat there day in day out to know that they will be working with less clients, but they will be offering that specialist service, and as well, they will be earning, like, it's not only the specialist service, but then from a pound per client point of view, they will be earning more money. So the work, again, it's all about working smarter as a self-employed broker. You went self-employed for a reason, and one of the reasons is for you to have that work-life balance and work smarter. And some brokers absolutely still want to do the full-on hours, 60 hours a week that they did in their employed role and where in the broker world that they've come from. But there is ones that don't, and they do want to, like you talked before about knowing your hourly rate and things like that. It's just, you've got to get that right from your own point of view. And really that's a question I wanted to ask you in terms of with brokers that you work with, is that, are they sort of newly starting out? Because that's difficult when you're first starting out. You go self-employed. It's a case of, I'll just see everybody. I'll take everybody on. I'll work with anybody. When they're sort of talking about fees, okay, I'll reduce that down to this, or I'll not charge you because of this. Or whereas then, once you've found your space, you've found your product, you've found your niche, and you know exactly who you are as a business owner and as a broker, you just very much have gone, well, that's my fee. This is what I do, and this is my fee. So going back to my question, Dan, so just that, are you on the program, what you do? Is it new brokers, existing brokers, old brokers? What's the sort of makeup of the brokers that you work with?
Yeah, pretty much across the scale, really. A lot of people that come to us are brand new to the game, which is fine, because I think if I had have known everything that I know now in terms of like business structure, how to do things, if I'd have got that opportunity straight from the offset, then I'd be a hell of a lot more advanced as what I am now. But I didn't. It took me a long time to work that stuff out. So, but yeah, we have new guys to it. Like I said, we've got firms in there who've been like bigger firms that have been running for multiple years and doing really well, but they just need some more. We call it. It's all new age. We call it new age advisors, new age firms. So it's like a new way of doing things. A lot of the older firms that have been kind of stuck in the ways doing stuff that worked really well 10, 20 years ago, they've realised that nowadays it's a completely different world, and that they need to kind of update their processes and their systems, which obviously we help them with that. So yeah, at the end of the day, Craig, like, to answer your question, it's everything. We deal with just new, like I said, brand new one-man band brokers, or we deal with like big corporate firms. So yeah.
Going back to something you sort of said there that made me smile, that I took come across it every single day, and it is because at the end of the day, you're coaching, I'm coaching, different things, different demographics, very different things, like as a business model is going on. But you sort of said there, you wish you knew now what you knew back then. And I think that's the whole point of, like, my business has been set up 6 years. I've been in the industry quite a while, a lot longer than that. But and if I knew then what I know now, 6 years setting my firm up, absolutely, it makes me. And that's the sort of thing, is like, well, that makes me smile, because that's the whole point of coaching. That's all the point of working with a coach. That's work with somebody that can accelerate your growth. And so, what's the difference? So, because when we first talked, there wasn't the new age firm thing going on. So, what is that sort of? You've got the new age advisor, you've got the new age firm. Do you want to explain what is the difference and what? Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. But yeah, just going back on what you've said there, 100%, I agree with that, because that is like, it's like hitting the shortcut button, isn't it? When you can use a coach, or even like buying books, you can kind of just tap into the mind of someone that's already kind of. I think that's one of the best investments that you can make in yourself. It's like a tenner for a book, but you can kind of extract the mind of someone that's kind of done, like big people that have really kind of made a success of the life in whatever they want, in whatever way they wanted. But you can extract the stuff that's worked for them for 10 quid. But yeah, obviously the coaching side is on the same kind of vein, but then you've got that consistency and accountability, I think, which is what a lot of people need. But yeah, in answer to your question, Craig, so New Age Advisor is like I said, that was like the first kind of thing we started in back end of 2020. Like I said, it was like a thing that was born out of lockdown. So that was more structured towards one-man bands that can do more of this stuff, because a big part of what we do is like the funnels, as you mentioned before. With the New Age Advisor, we kind of provide templates, and we kind of break it down step by step how to put that together yourself. But with the New Age firms, this is kind of kind of the next level up from New Age Advisor, which is where we do that for you. We provide the funnel, we put that together. And the other difference is both the same kind of strategy. It's based on, like we talked about, defining your ideal client first, which is kind of the kind of foundational part to it, really. I think that everything else kind of feeds from that. Then the next part is we kind of teach people how to generate business organically using either Facebook or LinkedIn or both, depending on where your ideal client is. And then the next key part to that is the paid ads. So we're kind of testing things organically first, kind of getting that product market fit, making sure that your ideal client is responding to the messaging that you're putting out there. So we'll get some business using that organic method. And what we suggest is that you kind of take some of that revenue and put that into the paid side, which really just throws fuel on the fire and puts you in front of literally thousands of your ideal client every single day on an automated basis. So they're both the same strategy in that sense. Like I said, with New Age Advisor, we show you how to put the funnel together. New Age firms will do all that for you. And with New Age firms, there's a bit more accountability involved. In either of the courses, we do group coaching sessions over Zoom, where we're upskilling you on different things, but it's the time for you to get feedback from us as coaches, ask questions. But with the New Age firms, it's a bit more accountability in that sense, that we do more regular, like one-to-one coaching sessions.
Right.
So they're the two differences. Like I said, they're both the same strategy, but with the New Age firms, you get the funnel built for you, and you get a lot more accountability in terms of one-to-one coaching.
Right. So I get that. So thank I'm like sort of getting is there sort of like a set, no matter what size of the firm it is, a firm, so it doesn't matter whether there's 2 advisors in it, 10 advisors in it, it doesn't really, it's just you're working with you're doing it more for them. And like I say, the big thing, what I'm taking that from that is more of the one-to-one accountability, which is what you're finding from the firm's point. But there's no sort of set sizes. I'm saying thinking, oh, there's me and another broker in my firm, I can't be part of the firm thing. Have you got certain limits with sizes and stuff like that?
No, not at all. No, the only kind of the only qualification really, because obviously we don't just work with anybody. We want to work with people that are committed to getting results. Really, that's the main thing. And like I say, if people are committed to doing it, it doesn't matter if they're, like I say, one-man band who's just started up, or they're a firm that have been running for the past 20, 30 years. As long as they're committed to getting the results, then we're really committed to working with them and getting them those results. Because ultimately, it does take both sides of it. Because we've got everything. Excuse me, we've got everything that people need. But ultimately, if they're not going to put that into place and not going to put that in action, not going to be committed to doing that, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
So what I say to people, people ask me on calls and say, have you got a guarantee that it'll work? I say, yeah, 100% it will work if you're committed to making it work. If you're not, it 100% won't work. And people say, have you got any, like, what's the results like for what you get? So, like I say, the firms that have committed have got really good results. And to be honest, there's a lot of people that have got nothing out of it.
Yeah.
But they've just not committed to it. So it's like anything in life, I think.
I think that's it. It's sort of like you said, the commitment's the big thing. It's sort of you've got to. It's not a done for your kind of service that you're offering. It's because they've got to be committed and have that persistence and have that drive, motivation to make it. Like you know the model works, absolutely, but you've got to be committed to it. And you can't be in that sort of blame sort of scenario, which we've seen where, like where you've got them people sort of saying, well, it didn't work for me. So it's like finding your own platform from a social media point of view. Like people say to me, well, which platform works best for me? Do I do LinkedIn? Do I do Insta? Do I do Facebook? Do I do TikTok? What is it that I do to then get my ideal client? And it's sort of, well, find your platform. It's all of them until you find what works for you. It's like for me as a business, LinkedIn works. Yeah, I'm still on Insta. Yes, I still do Facebook, and people still reach out and message me and connect with that way. But predominantly, LinkedIn works for me. So then it's like, well, that's my platform that works. You can still put everything on anything else, but it's just finding what works. But like you say, it's that commitment. Whereas I think it's just society anyway, isn't it? Where people just expect things to do like instant reactions, instant wins, instant this, instant results.
Yeah.
Whereas you've got to put the hard work and the commitment in, like you say.
It's that Amazon thing, isn't it? Where you expect stuff to be delivered like the next day, and if it's not, you're like Ross, who we work with a mindset coach, and Ross, Ross Cooney is called. He always mentions this about it's called like short term gratification, isn't it? Our minds are, and TikTok has got something to that's it got something to hold for that, because it's so quick, isn't it? TikTok, it's just saying, "Oh, you get bored in like a second, and you're on to the next." I think that's shortening our like attention spans and our short term gratification. We just kind of want everything straight away. But I think it's about leaning into the longer term stuff, which is where the value is really about, like you say, learning things that are you might not see the result. Marketing generally, I think you might not see the result straight away. You might not see it within the first month. The stuff that you're putting out, it might not get any traction. But if you, which is why a lot of people give up. But if you're continuous and consistent with it, it might in 6 months' time, in a year's time, you'll see the results of that stuff. But it can take a while.
There's no sort of time. Like I talk about it as a 12-week thing. It's like sort of I just, because that's the time frame that I talk about it in. There's no right or wrong with this. It's like you say with timescales there, but I talk about first doing something like work, like in terms of looking to change. Then the first 4 weeks, a honeymoon period, it's like, well, this is great. I'm creating content. I'm doing the videos. I'm doing this. I'm getting a bit of interaction and things like that. It's then that the weeks 5 to 8 really that are really the tough, like they're the sort of when you're hitting the bottom of going, I'm not getting any connections, I'm not getting any followers, I'm not getting any responses, I'm not getting any leads from it, I'm not getting anything. And that is the sort of like I talk about that being at the bottom, because it is literally, that's where you're at right then. If you can sort of see out that time of those and still come out the other side and have that commitment and persistence and drive, like you said there, this business model works, but you're just going to go like, I'm trying to do it on camera so I can see, but this is a podcast. But you just sort of like, and we do record the video, so that you're coming out the other side. Once you get to like week 9, it's then, wow, like that's when you sort of hit that. And I'm talking very specific in terms of weeks or months and timescales, and it does differ, but we all will go through it. We'll all have that honeymoon period. We'll all have those depths of despair and wanting to thinking and giving in and changing. But then you never know when that little point is to go, it then works. So you don't know whether that's that flipping and then going to the up curve, shall we say, of simplicity, getting to that up curve of then going, oh, it's working now. I've got a lead, or I've got, do you know what I mean? It's that you never know how far away you are from that.
Yeah. But like you say, I think getting that little bit of success really does motivate, but you need to be able to go through it without that little bit of success and realize that if you are consistent with following a proven strategy, because I think that's the difference. You can be plugging away doing stuff that you think is to the best of what it can be, but it may not be, and you can be trudging along for years, but you will still get that, but it'll take a lot longer time than if you kind of followed a proven strategy. But it's the same with working out. I see, like people go into the gym and they go on in 3rd of January and expect to get a six pack within a few days, and then they don't, and then they're like, screw this, it's not what I signed up for.
No.
But yeah, the people that are consistent with it and they keep going to the gym, then they will see results, but it's not going to be straight away.
No.
It's going to take a while.
Absolutely. And it's just trying to do, like, in terms of, I don't know, with regards to New Age, is it a case of, because like I talk a lot about changing habits, and it's about changing, like just focus on one habit to change, and then is that how sort of New Age works really? Into, like you say, you go to the gym, but people go to the gym as well as do dry January, as well as do vegan New Year, whatever it's called. So you're changing, like making these big changes, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different changes because everybody else is doing it, rather than actually go, do you know what? I'm just going to go to the gym 3 times a week. And I know it's going to take X amount of time to get the results I want, but I'm seeing some growth, not growth as in well, whatever it is you're going to the gym for. So you might be looking for growth as in beefing up, or you might be looking to lose weight or lose an inch or anything like that. But as long as you see things are working, like you say, you're not doing it looking to get the end goal of day one. But then I think if you're sort of seeing that you are getting some results out of it, even if that looks like a 0.1% of a result, at least it's still a result, because then and it's just building on that.
Yeah, well, I think when you talk about like one thing, I think that's a key thing, just to focus on one specific area, really, and just kind of, rather than, I think a lot of people are just thinking that there's so much stuff that they could be doing and that they are doing. I think when you focus on one specific area, it just kind of just expedites the growth in that sense, rather than just kind of putting your energy into multiple different areas. It's about focusing on what is going to get you to closer to where you need to be in the fastest way, and just putting all your energy into that rather than spreading yourself too thinly, which kind of comes into the niche stuff that we were talking about before, and focusing on one specific customer profile. But yeah, I think that's something that's helped me as well massively.
Right. And with regards to, because obviously we talked then a little bit about the mindset stuff as well that you work with. So it's not just looking at funnels, lead generation. You also have sort of mind stuff as well on the program.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the guy called Ross, he's a Royal Marine Commando, but his day job is a mindset and performance coach. So,
right,
like we talked about before, accountability is a massive thing that people need, I think. So Ross is really good at keeping people accountable, really, to doing the work, because I think naturally as human beings we'll always take the least path of resistance and avoid doing the work that we know we need to do to get us to where we need to be. I think that's I'm the same. I'm sure you're the same, Craig. It's just the way our minds are. I think we always, like I say, from a psychological thing, our brains are trained to save calories and kind of avoid putting our minds through extra kind of thought processes and pressures. So we'll just take the least path of resistance. But so it's key, I think, to have someone just to give you a kick up the arse, just to make sure that you're doing the stuff that you know you need to be doing. So Ross is really good on that side, but he's, like I say, he's a mindset and performance coach. So he works with other kind of entrepreneurs and Olympic athletes he's worked with, but just getting the full potential out of people. Like I say, it's something I've always been big on mindset, as you know, Craig, as we talked about before. But yeah, Ross is obviously, he's the man on that. So I got him involved to kind of take ownership of that part, because I think it is an essential part. You can kind of learn all this stuff that is my background, the marketing side, the lead generation side. But if you've not got that internal kind of drive and that kind of why defined as to why you do things, then I think, yeah, you'll struggle. I think that's an essential part of the equation.
Definitely, and it is like you talked there about referencing in the gym. If you've got people have personal trainers at gyms for a reason, because they're like, it's a case of, it's the same thing with coaching and personal training and accountability and responsibility. Like you said, is if you go to gym and you're just going when you want to go, you turn up when you want to turn up, and you're not seeing those results, then you're more likely, if you've got a personal trainer that holds you accountable, that says to you, right, you are here at 6 o'clock on a Monday morning, and you're here back here on Wednesday o'clock at this time, and you've got a structure in that and a routine into that, you're more likely to show up, you're more likely to take action, you're more likely to achieve what you want to achieve, because you've got somebody that's saying to you, not only guiding and helping you the right direction, but also as well, just making sure that you turn up. That it's not just about turn up. I've talked about that
It's
before.
more than half of it. But
Yeah,
just
exactly.
yeah, which is, like I said, the hardest bit, especially of going to the gym. My gym is literally 20 seconds that way, but I still struggle to get out that door in the morning. But once I'm out that door, I feel like, yes, I've actually got out the door, which is, like I say, the biggest part. And I think, yeah, accountability is a massive thing for human beings generally. Because, like I say, I think we all know what we need to do to get us to where we need to be, but it's just actually doing it, which is the battle. And I think, yeah, having somebody there to help you with that part of it is essential, really. Unless there are certain people in the world who kind of are really disciplined. And I don't know, have you seen David Goggins? Do you know who he is? Yeah. He doesn't need any accountability other than what his own mind is telling him, but that he's kind of a 1 in a billion, I think. But yeah, most people
He
need it.
is, but like when you hear like his story, he focused on the end goal, he focused on the result, he focused on the reward. He knew from when he like first wanted to get into the forces like he did, and in the US like he did, and he got the knockbacks that he did. He just then knew that, and like when you hear about what he was going and putting his body through, and thinking, oh my, like it's insane. The sort of the levels of things what he put through. But then I think but that was just, he created those habits himself, and that was just, he had to do it then. Like it was his habits. Like in terms of what he wanted to do and what he wanted to achieve, he focused on the end goals. He wasn't focused on too many things at once. It was quite clear in terms of what he needed to do, because he had the feedback in terms of his weight and stuff like that, and he was told he'd never make it. Well, that motivates one. Like I said, we've all got it. I think we've all got it in us, but we just have to sometimes tapping into that. And also, well, sometimes people need help, like you say. We have it. It's just people need help realizing it, and then people just naturally have that ability as well. But we are, as human beings, we're naturally sociable. We thrive off each other. We thrive on that communication, and that's what helps us to drive and motivate and achieve what we want to achieve. But going back to something you said there about going to the gym, is like once you've done it, is how good you feel. It's like you're focusing on the reward is how good you feel at the end of it. Not that you've got to walk those 20 seconds to your gym. You're not looking at that. If you just walk to the gym, just focusing on the end, on the result and what you was going to achieve, you'll be at the gym in, like say, 20 seconds, but you wouldn't even be thinking about the walk in the journey and what you're doing or what you're going to go through. It's about what you're going to achieve at the end of it. That's the thing.
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? It's the outcomes. Everybody needs to focus more on what the kind of outcome of what you're doing is. And like I said before about the why. I think that's a key thing in business, to really define why you're doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
That kind of gets you out of bed in the morning, even if the kind of stuff that you've got to do in the day is not the kind of optimal things, the way you want to be spending your day. At least you're focusing on the reason why you're getting out of bed and why you're doing all this stuff. There's a bigger reason as to doing that. And I think Simon Sinek, he did a really good TED talk, and he's got a book on it, isn't it? As to why. And that's kind of something that I think everybody should define, because if not, you just, like you say, you just can't feel the reason as to why you're doing things. And I think you need to see that bigger picture and feel that bigger picture.
Definitely. Dan, I've sort of taken up 45 minutes of your time in your busy schedule and you're coming back onto podcast. Is there anything that we've not talked about that you want to talk about? Anything you want to add into the podcast before we end?
No, mate, I think that's it. I think we've covered quite a lot of stuff over that 45 minutes, to be fair.
We have. So if I'm sat here listening to this right now, watching you, and thinking I want to know more about it, just where's the best place to find Dan Reddish? Where's the best place for people to reach out to you?
Social media, probably everywhere. Dan Reddish in LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram, most active. Or danreddishconsulting.com is my main website.
Okay. Well, I'll make sure it'll be all tagged anyway, so people won't have a problem finding you and reaching out for you to you in terms of understanding more. So, cool. Dan, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for coming back on. Thanks for your input and your honesty as always. And thank you so much.
No, you're welcome, Craig. Good to catch up with you, mate.
Thank you for listening to the Mortgage Broker Broadcast, the podcast which helps mortgage brokers at all stages of their mortgage broking career. If you have any questions about this podcast or any topics you want us to discuss, or if you're interested in working with me further, then please get in touch.